Hi, this is Donnie Most. You remember me from Happy Days? And I have a new album out, D-Most, Mostly Swinging. But you are listening to Beats and Eats.
Live from the virtual lounge in cyberspace, it's Beats and Eats. A happy hour for the mind, featuring the best in conversation and pop culture, food, music, movies, comedy, you name it. And you'll never know who'll be dropping by to pay us a visit. And now, here are your hosts, KYRIE and Nick Gelso.
'Cause that's how much I feel. But I feel for you, baby. How much I feel. Oh, I need your touch. I need your touch. I live for your love, baby. That's how much, baby. That's how much. That's how much, baby. That's how much.
The sounds of Ambrosia, one of the iconic songs of the 1970s, How Much I Feel. KYRIE in the virtual lounge today without Nick Gelso. This is going to be a fun show. I just happened to be driving around town the other day and Ambrosia came on the radio, How Much I Feel. And I think we've all been there, right? One of those songs comes on and we have to instantly sing to it. And there I was. I found myself in traffic trying to hit the high note of How Much I Feel, and it all came crashing down. And it got me to thinking about that era in music that I love, which is the late 70s, early 80s. Now, I love all sorts of genres of music. Listeners of this program know that. I love everything 80s, from hair metal to the new wave music of the early 80s. But I also have a soft spot in my heart for the music of the late 70s and early 80s. It was a very eclectic time in music. If you listen to the old Casey Kasem American Top 40 countdowns of the late 70s, early 80s, you are going to hear some crazy mixes. You could make some crazy mixtapes back then. But Ambrosia, wow, what a group. And there were so many great groups from that era that had terrific tracks, terrific albums and singles. And I think back to myself like Player and 10cc, Frankie and the Knockouts, Firefall. And there were artists like Rupert Holmes singing Pina Colada Song, although not my favorite. I preferred him. And Bertie Higgins, of course, Key Largo. Great tracks from that era. How Much I Feel is an incredible song, and it's one of those songs I love to belt out if I hear it on the radio. I crank it up, and I can never hit the high note. It always comes crashing down. But the other day, singing the song, I just had all these memories, and I thought, let's reach out to Ambrosia. We've had so many great acts, legendary acts on Beats and Eats. Let's reach out to Ambrosia and get them on the program. So sure enough, send a Twitter message out to Burleigh Drummond, who is the drummer for Ambrosia. He reaches back to me and says, sure, let's do the show. And today in the virtual lounge, we have Burleigh Drummond. It's our privilege to have him on the program. And we're going to talk about their early prog rock roots back in the 70s. And then, of course, their soft rock side in the late 70s, early 80s. And they really hit it big in 1980 with two tracks in particular, You're the Only Woman, Biggest Part of Me. Of course, we remember those songs. And there were other ones too. And then it all just kind of came to an end for them. The big success of Ambrosia kind of went away after that. But they kept on. They've kept their journey going, and they're touring, and they're about ready to record, I hear, today. So good stuff. In the virtual lounge today, we have Burleigh Drummond from Ambrosia. We're going to talk all things Ambrosia, including his relationship with his wife, Mary Harris, who joined the group not so long ago, and she has an incredible resume, from playing with Pink Floyd to Jimmy Buffett to Michael McDonald. So this is an incredible group of musicians today with Ambrosia, and you're going to hear all about it on Beats and Eats.
Don't touch that dial. Nick and Ty will be right back with more of Beats and Eats.
Hello?
Burleigh,
Yes.
Hi, it's Ty Ray from Beats and Eats. How are you?
Hey, Ty.
Well, hey, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it. I know it's Memorial Day, and I'm sure you have plans today, so thank you for making a little bit of time for me.
You know, I have so much yard work planned today, you wouldn't believe it.
Well, I thought it only fitting, being Memorial Day, that the first question I wanted to ask you was about your parents, because they both served in the military.
Yeah, they did.
That obviously was a big part of your life. So tell me about the influence your parents had on you. Your parents were in the military. They were in the Army. Your dad was a colonel. Tell me a little bit about the influence they had on you and your music.
Well, I mean, my father was a full colonel in the Army, and so, you know, you would picture somebody probably, you know, fairly straight-laced and you know, everything by the book, but he actually was the opposite. He was a little rascal, you know, but he was such a charmer that he got away with so much stuff and still did his job. But he really, I think, if anything I learned from my dad is that you can go about business and have fun at doing it, and the best thing about doing any kind of business is the encounter and the relationship you have with the person you're doing it with. It's not so, you know, it's even as important as the deal itself. You know, is the quality of the time you spend with the person you're dealing with. That, I don't know. I just kind of got that from him.
It's the most valuable commodity we have, Burleigh, is our time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if you know, I can just think how horrible it would be to be a businessman that strictly looked at the business aspect of it and not the personal engagement. You know, so that's probably what I got off my dad, from my dad, as much as anything else.
Yeah,
and the fact that we move so often. You know, the Army lifestyle. You know, every 2 years you're moving. So, you know, you constantly have to kind of reintroduce yourself to the society you're moving into, which, you know, I kind of think it's helped me be accepting of other people, you know, as I hope they'll accept me into their group in school or, you know, society. And it just made me a lot more open-minded. I think that, okay, these people aren't going to be the same mindset of where I was. You know, I mean, there's a big difference between Alabama and Turkey and Washington, D.C. You know, people have different attitudes, and I think it's really helped me be able to get along in life.
Be in a band, which is full of different personalities and conflicts and probably a lot of compromise. Now, your dad was a great orator and speechwriter. Did that influence you at all? Did that rub off on you in the music that you wrote for Ambrosia? Are you right for Ambrosia?
I think maybe more so in the live show aspect of it. In fact, I had an interesting encounter. We were down south in a casino playing, and you know, and I thought I had a particularly good night on drums, you know, but I do a fair amount of talking during the show, and I was walking through the casino later, and this little old lady, you know, kind of bumped into me, and she goes, "Oh, you in that band Ambrosia?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am." I go, "I'm the drummer." She goes, "Oh, no, you the announcer." I go, okay, I guess that's what I am. Yeah.
But that goes back and forth to the relationships, right? You need to have those relationships with the audience in order to be successful as a band.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, depending if you're a serious, you know, jazzer, and maybe it's just all about the music, but I think people love to feel like they get to know the person beyond the music, you know, something of the personality of the person performing. I think that's important.
You know, you guys perform some of the great songs of all time, and I'm not just saying that. And when people hear those songs, they get stopped in their tracks when they hear How Much I Feel, and it takes them back to a certain time. Do you get that? Do you understand what kind of impact that has on people when they hear a song like How Much I Feel and what it meant to their lives?
Yes. No, I totally get it. I mean, And it's an honor to realize that you've been a part of somebody's life, and that it in the power of the music to take them back to that moment. I mean, I kind of have a little spiel I do where I tell people there that they're not even in control of why they're there that night. Is because and I explained to them that they were probably conceived with our song playing in the background.
That's great.
They had no choice but to show. They don't even know why they're here, but they're here because that's what happened.
I want to talk to you a little bit, Burleigh, about the great success you guys, of course, had in the late 70s and early 80s, and the Grammy nominations, the big hits. What happened after that? Let's say past 1982. Was it the MTV generation that just kind of came in and kind of changed the musical landscape?
Well, no. In our case, I mean, I can only speak for our case. In our case, we had signed such horrible deals in our early career that even though we had such success, seeming success on the radio and so forth, that we weren't financially successful. In fact, we were doing other people's albums to survive as a band, even though we had 5 hit records, and so I think the strain of the bad deals we had made with our management, and it became too much, and so the band needed to take a break, and we had kind of exhausted our potential of working under those conditions, and for me personally, it was kind of it seems like, oh, that's horrible, Howie. But for me, it was the best thing that could happen because it allowed me to start a family, have kids, and have that part of my life that I had not had up to that point. And I've said it before, but I think that's where my life actually began. Is when I had that ability to meet my wife and and have a life out just to a road. Which, like, you're engaging with a lot of people, and it would be fulfilling. But in a way, it's a much smaller world than you think because you're around the same group of people 90% of the time. So it's hard to get outside your circle because you're constantly engaged with those people.
Isn't that amazing? So you have this huge chart-topping success. And yet, in some ways, when it all kind of, because you guys pretty much ended at your peak, right? To a certain degree. So
yeah, to some degree, yeah.
You have this huge chart-topping success, but you say that is the beginning of your life because things really, really started to change for you on a personal level. And now look at you, how many years later? 40 years later? And here you are working with your wife of 30-plus years, and she's a big-time contributor to the band. It's just kind of funny how life works, because I'm sure when things came to somewhat of an end in the 80s, you might have been, like you said, it couldn't sustain itself, but at the same time, where do we go from here, right? And now look at you.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's come full circle for me, and I really, really appreciate it. I mean, the fact that I can go on the road and be with my wife, and we both get to share this, and every city we go to, we have that little 2-hour period, either, usually after the show where, hey, we're actually in a different city. We're on a date. We call it our date moment.
That's great.
It's like, so, I mean, because, life is frantic, even when we come home, it feels, we usually go on the road for 3 or 4 days, and we come home for 2 days, and then we go back out. So those 2 days at home are usually just frantic, trying to catch up on, all the stuff that needs to be caught up on, your bills, your kids, your, house falling apart while you're gone. And, and so those 2 hours on the road are really our little moment that we try to,
And you guys are doing a boatload of dates, it looks like, right?
Yeah, we average about 60 dates a year. And, yeah, I mean, but with all the flying to get to the date, 60 days doesn't sound like it's all that much, but when you add a day to fly there and a half a day to fly home, then you really start to understand how consuming it is.
How has the music industry changed, in your opinion, for the better and for the worse, since you've gotten into it?
Well, I think for the better, it's an equal opportunity thing now. I mean, you can have a career and not have to be on a major label, and not have to, be beholden to. You have a bigger piece of the pie, of your own pie, I guess, is one way to put it. But on the other end, it's much more consuming of your time because you're self-promoting. Even Ambrosia, to an extent, even though we've been on major labels and we've been with major booking agencies, now we're doing most of it ourselves, and the time consumption is huge. To advance your own shows and book your own shows and to do your own records and do your own recording, all those things. So the time that you used to have to get up, have a cup of coffee, maybe start writing, have this free time, that doesn't exist. When you self-promote a career, it's like 24/7 all the time.
Are you guys working on a new album? I know that it's been in the works. What kind of release date are we looking at?
Well, I'm going to really push to get it out by the end of the year because our focus tends to. We get pretty excited about every opportunity that comes along. So, for instance, we just did this great festival, Abbey Road on the River, which is all Beatles. It's an all Beatle festival. So they invited us, and we did a set of Ambrosia, and then we did a set of Beatle music, and we had a guest, Lawrence Juber from Wings, playing with us. So for a month, we were obsessed with coming up with new arrangements of Beatle tunes, and but it took us away from recording our own thing, So now we're going to do a Beatle album too. So you can see how things, these things keep popping up. That we got to do that. Chile wants us to come play. We got to go to Chile. It's like so. Things like that. It's hard to just keep your focus going, and then also too, if you've been on the road 4 or 5 days and you come home and you have 2 days home, it's hard to go, hey, okay, we just landed. See you tomorrow. We got to record. Everybody's going, well, wait a minute. I need.
It's just life, right?
Yeah, it is life, of course. And I'm sure we're no different than any other occupation that's trying to keep all 20 burners going in their life at the same time. So
you sound like, just in your voice, Burleigh, you sound like you're having so much fun. Do I read that right?
Oh yeah, I am. And I mean, starting with the fact that I'm still obsessed about trying to play the drums, my first love. So, I've even gone and started studying again with teachers that are experts in an area that I want to be better at. So for me, I'm still the kid that's still, I look at a drum set, I start sweating. It's like.
So if Burleigh today, here in 2017, as you and I chat, could talk to Burleigh from 1970 when Ambrosia was formed, what would he say?
Well, treasure every second that you have, and don't waste time. Just realize that the time is the most precious commodity, and just to live every second of it, and be in that second, be in that moment, because our time is limited, and I mean there's a few years I would love to reclaim and take better advantage of them. So yeah,
but then maybe you wouldn't be where you're at today, right? If things had changed, you never know.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's all that's true. There is that thought that, you need that idle time in order for you need to be able to daydream in order for the creative development to happen. And I really believe in that, but, I maybe didn't have to chase more than one girl at a time, things like that.
I love it. When you hear Biggest Part of Me or You're the Only Woman or How Much I Feel or any of the great songs in your catalog, do you still get goosebumps?
Yeah, but I mean, yes, of course. I respect what we did. I really do. And it's even today, those songs are still challenging to play. I mean, you cannot play an Ambrosia gig and just phone it in. You've got to be ready. You've got to be on your game, because it still is challenging today. Maybe even more so because the ignorance is bliss thing is gone. Where you did. Now I realize that we were playing beyond our means or writing beyond our means, and now having to realize that you've kind of grown into what you created. And then trying to take it to the next level and trying to expand upon that. So, yeah, I mean, it's once in a while, like say we played Biggest Part of Me, and then I played with the bass player who used to play with Billy Cobham, and I guess they were driving back in the day when Biggest was a hit. And he goes, yeah, I was driving with Billy Cobham. We were on the road. That song came on, and Billy cranked it up and goes, he looked at me and he goes, that's the shit, And it's like, you see, you hear a comment like that, and then it makes you go, wow, Billy Cobham was impressed with my track, So, things like that make you realize that, okay, I did okay.
What are some of your favorites in the catalog?
Well, I mean, I think Biggest came out. It's what I think that's one of the songs I'm proudest about. But all of them. I like and especially the early prog-ier stuff we did, like Time Waits for No One and Make Us All Aware. Mama Frog, all that, kind of adventurous stuff. Nothing against the more commercial stuff we did. Everything challenging in its own way. And I think we, were a good song. I think we gave every song its due, and did the absolute very best we could at realizing the tune. So I'm pretty proud of everything.
Yeah, looking back at how young you guys were then, are you able to look back and go, wow, we were so young and yet we put out this amazing material? Well,
I mean, that's the beauty of bands that can stimulate each other and in a good way, even though you can drive each other nuts. You can really push each other to achieve something. And when the chemistry is good, it may not always be comfortable, but it's a good hotbed for creativity, and I think we really had that.
One of our listeners wanted me to ask you about "Nice, Nice, So Very Nice." Any story behind that song?
Well, yeah. What's interesting is we were writing the song and it had a different name, and then Joe Puerta came in one day, and he had been reading Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. And within the book, it had this little poem called Song of Bokanon. And that's where the lyrics for Nice, Nice came from. And he goes, I was reading this, and these lyrics fit. So, we used the first verse is Kurt Vonnegut, and then we needed a second verse, so Joe wrote the lyrics for the second verse. And then we finished the song, and it's about a week before the record was going to come out, and we were all excited and listening back, and somebody goes, "Hey, did anybody ask Kurt Vonnegut if we could use these lyrics?" And we all go, "Oh my God!" So of course, a panic attack, trying to find his lawyer, and we died. So anyway, it turns out he signed off right away, and then we went to we were in New York. We got a note from him like a month later after the song came out, and it was like he goes, I've been listening to our song. He goes, one thing I know for sure, music is the only art that's worth a damn, and. And we got to go we go to New York, and we got to meet him. We went to his townhouse in New York City, and that was so interesting because we were let in and by his housekeeper. We went up to his writing room and opened knocked on the door, and he said come in. We come into this dark room, and over in the corner he's sitting at a table, and his writing table, and we saw this transformation happen right before our eyes. Like he was in the character of who he was writing about, and it took him about 5 minutes to come out of character and be Kurt Vonnegut. He was so deep into that who he was portraying in his writing, and I just realized the depth of his art. He really went there. He became the character when he wrote. It was really interesting.
And to think that he's part of your music. He's part of...
Oh, yeah, I know. We are truly honored.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. So tell me about playing with Mary, your wife. That's got to be a big thrill to be able to spend that kind of time together and also collaborate together. I don't think there are many husband and wife teams doing that.
Well, I mean, you remember what was David Byrne, Talking Heads? They had the drummer and the bass player were married.
That's right.
Yeah. But you're right. And Mary and I had the history of, we had a great time, a great run when we did our band, 10 Drum. So we did 3 CDs of our own. So we have a lot of history of writing, and it's very second nature for Mary and I to play together because we've played so much together, and it's wonderful. I mean, we are Mary and I have kind of become the rhythm section. She's kind of the rhythm keyboard player. She holds, quarterly, and she kind of holds the band together in that respect. And so her and I are kind of like the backbone of the groove. So,
how did that all come about? How did Mary come into the band?
Well, there was a period in Ambrosia when Ambrosia started becoming active again, and there was a few revolving chairs in the band. We had a singer for a while that could only do like 50% of the dates. So it's like there'd be moments of panic, like we don't have a singer. It's like I would go to Mary because she was my go-to, and I just said, "Can you help us out on this?" And she would just bust her ass, and be able to go sit in and play, not only play the keyboards but sing, half the tunes. And so we had a long period of that where, literally, off and on, she would do that for about 10 years, and then slowly we finally found a core of people that could commit to being in the band, and so like the last 3 years we've been on a very, very steady group of people, and and Mary is one of them.
That's terrific.
She for years. So
one question I wanted to ask you, and I was going to ask you earlier, is there anything autobiographical in any of the songs? I mean, the love songs especially are, like Say How Much I Feel got us in trouble, actually, because it's actually a song about being with somebody but thinking about somebody else, the one that you couldn't emotionally let go of.
So, because of that, you had to come back with songs like You're the Only Woman, the Biggest Part of Me to make up for the How Much
Is that
I Feel.
right?
Sure. I mean, because if you listen to the lyrics of How Much I Feel, it's all about, thinking about somebody else while you're with somebody new. That's the love side of it. And there was a song called Camarillo on one of our albums. Our keyboard player, Chris North, had some emotional issues at one point and left the band. And the song is that the Camarillo is a mental institution out here in Los Angeles. So it was kind of a joke that he's about ready for Camarillo. But
not Camarillo, California, a mental institution.
Yeah. It was. That's where the institution was.
Oh, okay.
But he's doing fine. But so anyway, it was just
I was just thinking about Camarillo. I used to live in San Luis Obispo for 3 years. Miss it.
Oh, okay.
I'm still in a gorgeous part of the country. I live in Tacoma. Seattle area is stunning.
Oh,
especially this time of year.
But
But San Luis Obispo, there was something very special about the Central Coast and that part of California, because it was, I always called it, California without the crazy. It was just really, really nice.
No, it's not. I'm down in Thousand Oaks, so not far from.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm going to ask you just one more question, because you've been so generous with your time, which is,
no problem.
If you had an event or a memory when you were, in the early years of Ambrosia, where was it, and did you feel like, wow, we've really arrived?
Well, one of our very first shows on the road, outside California, we were invited to play the Iowa State Fair. And so, okay, fantastic, and then on the way there, we were told, oh, by the way, you're opening for the Beach Boys. Okay, amazing, great. And so I was excited because I went through school with Billy Henchy, who was in the Beach Boys and used to be in Dino, Desi, and Billy way back in the day. And so anyway, we get there, and then they go, okay, we have to wait because there's a speaker giving, it's like 40,000 people at the Iowa State Fair. And I go, who's the speaker? And why is all the security? Well, it's President Gerald Ford. So Gerald Ford was our opening act that day for 40,000 people in Iowa State Fair.
That's pretty incredible. The President of the United States.
Yeah, he was our opening act.
That's quite a memory. And did you guys do bandstand and all that stuff? I can't remember.
We didn't do American Bandstand. We did what's the rock concert? Don Kirshner's rock
Midnight
concert.
Special.
Midnight Special. We did that. So we did, we did the Merv Griffin show and things like that, and but we never. We never did David Letterman and things like that. I don't think that didn't exist when we were.
Did you guys do late night TV recently?
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay. I thought.
Oh, yeah, we did. We did the Jimmy Fallon show. What am I saying?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw you. This was a few years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and they were great. Oh my gosh, they were so gracious, unbelievable. Yeah, they were. What a wonderful crew. Great. And from Jimmy Fallon on down, they were fantastic.
So Burleigh, what do you guys have coming up in the immediate future for the summer? I know you've got a boatload. I don't want to say a boatload, but you've got quite a few tour dates, because I was looking at the calendar. I saw you're coming to Manson, Washington. Beautiful area, by the way.
Oh, yeah. That's a big resort up there, right?
Yeah, very, very pretty, especially in the summertime. I think that's in August. But what are you looking forward to yourself?
Well, playing. There's a chance we may be going down to South America, which we have never done. So I'm, chomping at the bit to do that. So I'm hoping that comes in. So, the music biz, if 1 out of 10 things comes true, you're having a great day. So
is that right?
Oh yeah. I mean, every day, I'll hear about 10 prospective events, and seriously, if one of them actually comes through, then it's great. That's usually that's kind of the working operandi that, So it's a lot of life. It's a life of a lot of, oh yeah, that sounds wonderful, and and that kind of keeps you going for a couple of hours, and then there's the next thing. So.
Well, Burleigh, it's been great talking to you on this Memorial Day.
Well, thank you, Ty, and I appreciate you letting me on the show.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye.
So many great stories, so much fun talking to Burleigh Drummond from Ambrosia. Almost 50 years of recording music and touring. Can't wait to hear the new album. If you want to hear more about Ambrosia, you can certainly go to their website. It's ambrosialive.net. Once again, it's ambrosialive.net. And you can follow Burleigh and the band on Twitter at Ambrosia Band. Once again, that's at Ambrosia Band. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can check me out at Coog88. I'd love to hear your ideas for future guests and more. Love to talk to our audience on Twitter. I do it all the time. You can follow Nick at CLNS_Nick, and the Beats and Eats handle is at Beat, the letter, and Eats. Now, usually we close the lounge with our show music, but today, because we had Burleigh on the show, let's end this with some Ambrosia, Biggest Part of Me.
Part of